at the local concept, that place we should do more and more research. And that is going to play a very big role for our 2047 mission. The second part is the population. We have to think to import our population to foreign nations. Like whenever we call like whole world is family, so we should not depend on only in our Indian context. Today you have read one news. Maybe I just want to highlight the UAE, like current war, Iran and American, and UAE was very upset because of Pakistan and this American alliance. And the reason was very clear because in UAE, you may know that 1 crore population and 43 lakhs are Indian. So almost 50% Indians are citizen in UAE, or they are working for this. Same thing is true for Germany. Just now before 1 week, the Germany said that they could defend their economy because Indians are working here. So these kind of like the way we have our overpopulation, that one we have to import, and then we can play a big role for the different part of the world, and that will be the power. And we have the potential. Some kind of example I can give you, especially it's a very simple example. Its sample is very less. See cricket, only 10 or 20 countries play, and in cricket you can see like no one can oppose India. The situation is something like this. The IPL you can see. Same thing is true for the software engineers. Like software engineers, number one is China, number two is India, number third is America. So if once software engineers stop working in the world, पूरा दुनिया का चक्का जाम होने का condition हो जाएगा. So the point is like wherever is our strength, that place we should work hard. It's not necessary that you can do everywhere very good. Wherever we have our potential, so that place we should move our institute, our researchers to do some kind of additional work. And that is the place where we can go for this kind of things. So unfortunately, I'm traveling and I have another assignment. So I'm very thankful that you invited me. And certainly I promised your principal that one day हम जरूर physical.
Thank you, sir. We are honored to have you with us today. In spite of your busy schedule, you took out time for us, and we are grateful. Thank you for your participation and your address. Now, moving on to the next chapter of this inaugural session, we have prepared an abstract book, e-abstract book, for all the presentations in the conference. I now request our governing body members, and if the chief guest is present, then chief guests are also, to unveil the abstract book. The e-abstract book is being shared on your screen.
यस दिखाई दे रही है मैडम.
That's a very good abstract book. Now, to provide us with the intellectual framework and vision behind this conference, I now invite Dr. Anuradha Deepak, the coordinator of this conference, to present the concept note.
Thank you, Richa ma'am. A very warm and hearty welcome and a very good morning to all who have joined us online or are in physical mode here from my college. Our Honorable Chief Guest, Dr. Ashutosh Kumar Singh, erudite and learned keynote speaker, Dr. Vibhuti Gaur, distinguished plenary speakers, Dr. Pardeep Kumar and Dr. Partibhan Govinda Raju, all the expert speakers for invited talks, all the diligent chairpersons for technical sessions, all the respected office bearers of KLP College Governing Body Rewari, respected Principal Ma'am, the super active team of IQAC and Research Cell, the radiant presenters, researchers and attendees from various parts of India and beyond, all the studious colleagues and amazing students. With immense delight, I extend a warm welcome to all of you on the first and opening day of this two-day international conference entitled Vikasit Bharat at the rate 1947, Multidisciplinary Pathways Through Science, Technology, Commerce and Humanities, ICVBMPSTCH 2026. This has really been a good exercise in brain. Taking pride in hosting this online international conference with the joint efforts of Internal Quality Assurance Cell and Research Cell of KLP College Rewari, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to our collaborating partner, Manipal University College, Malaysia, for joining hands with us for this international conference. This collaboration is a privilege for our esteemed institute, KLP College, Rewari. Vikasit Bharat Abhiyan, Developed India Mission, an initiative by the Government of India with its title, Bold Vision, Brighter Future, speaks of our preparedness and resolution for a brighter and inclusive future by 2047. Being more than just a slogan of 4 words, this possesses a deeper significance. The bold encapsulates India's determination to harness its human potential, cultural richness, and technological capabilities, and the brighter envisions the Vikasit Bharat by its centenary of independence in 2047. With a vision of a developed nation offering prosperity, dignity, and opportunity to all, this forward-looking plan is a call to action for every citizen, industry, and institute to contribute meaningfully to this transformation. And the present international conference is an appropriate platform for all of us to understand, explore, and appreciate this mission in the true sense of the term via the multidisciplinary approaches in academics. The conference, with a variety of speakers and researchers from across and sub-themes, highlighting all those aspects, areas, disciplines, and debates which present before us our journey to see India as a developed nation. And with great pride, I would like to tell you all that we have got 443 registrations for this two-day international conference. And we have 348 presentations. Out of them, and the rest are the co-presenters and the attendees who will be participating only. With complete hope and trust that this conference is going to motivate us to awaken our call of conscience and work for the developed India, which will be a land of abundance, opportunity, spirituality, and technology with happy citizens. Someone has rightly said, nothing is impossible. If we see the spelling of the word impossible, the word itself says, I am possible. So let us all pledge today to put in the united efforts for making the dream and vision of developed India possible. My good wishes to all, and thank you all for being here. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for your beautiful words. We now move on to the key segment of this session, the keynote address. It is my privilege to introduce Dr. Vibhuti Gaur, Professor, Department of English, Indira Gandhi National Open University, New Delhi. Dr. Gaur holds a PhD in folk literature and translation studies from the Center of English Studies, Jawaharlal Nehru University, where her work marked the pioneer contribution of Haryanavi regional literature and language studies. A gold medalist and recipient of Ministry of HRD scholarship, she has taught at premier institutes including JNU and the University of Delhi and is currently serving at IGNOU. Her academic work spans a wide and significant range of areas, including Indian aesthetics, knowledge system, classical literature, gender studies, and digital humanities. At IGNOU, she is actively contributing to innovative academic initiatives, including the development of the program Indian Literary Critical Tradition, which foregrounds indigenous framework of literary analysis. Dr. Gaur has published extensively, presented at numerous national and international platforms, and has made remarkable contributions to bringing Haryanvi literature into the mainstream academic discourses from research and translation. Her engagement also extends to national and international educational initiatives such as Swayam Prabha, and E-Vidya Bharati, reflecting her commitment to accessible and inclusive education. We are truly honored to have her with us today. I now invite Dr. Vibhuti Gaur to deliver the keynote address.
Thank you so much. Professor Kavita Gupta ji, coordinators of this conference, organizers, collaborators, distinguished delegates, respected scholars, innovators, policymakers, dear young friends, ladies, gentlemen. Namaskar, salam, seja tera. My warm greetings to all of you. At the very outset, let me offer my heartfelt congratulations to the organizers of this international conference. They've brought us together not merely to discuss a sectoral issue, not just to deliberate upon the narrow subjects of commerce, management, humanities, but to reflect upon a question that touches the deeper futures of humanity itself. To discuss science, technology, humanities, and development together is to recognize that the future cannot be built through fragmented knowledge. It demands synthesis. It demands moral seriousness. It demands civilizational depth. For inner times, the challenge before the world is not simply one of producing more data, and I'm sure you would agree to that, more machines or more systems, not even more institutions. The challenge is whether the humanity can still retain its direction while moving at an extraordinary speed. That is why the present conversation matters, and that is why this conference becomes all the more important. So this conference is not just academic. It is not just political. It is not mere talking about the developmental. It is fundamentally, according to me, very civilizational. Distinguished audience, we are living in a period of astonishing scientific progress and unprecedented technological acceleration. Artificial intelligence is transforming labor, communication, governance, and creativity. Quantum technologies promise to alter computation, encryption, and strategic power. Biotechnology and genomes, they're changing medicines and agriculture. Digital platforms increasingly mediate commerce and agriculture, education, information, even identity itself. We have networks of sensors, algorithms, logistics, surveillance now shape our daily lives at scales that earlier generations could scarcely have imagined. Human beings have acquired tremendous capacities for interventions in the world, and yet something essentially appears to be missing. The human condition is not marked by corresponding calmness, the confidence, the inner equilibrium that we once used to enjoy, or our forefathers, ancestors, they used to enjoy. Material capabilities has expanded, no doubt, but human anxiety, it has not receded. Societies are more instrumentally sophisticated, we do agree, but yet we are morally so uncertain. We've become highly capable of engineering systems, technological systems, scientific methodologies, but very less certain of the ends towards which those systems they ought to be directed. Friends, this is a huge paradox. The paradox lies at the center of our age. Power has increased, but wisdom has not deepened proportionately. The gap is where many of the present crises will begin with. Now, while we are holding our seminar conference here, we can hear virtually through virtual mediums the kind of war, the crisis that the world is undergoing. Across the world, one sees the signs of this disjunction. Regions of strategic significance remain troubled by war, insecurity, displacement, economic strain. Humanitarian institutions are overburdened. Civilian populations often bear the cost of geopolitical contestations in ways that even statistics cannot adequately convey us. It is that bad state. Meanwhile, even the health insecurity has acquired a very planetary character. The disease vulnerability, the climate-linked stress, the food pressures, and fragile public health systems. Increasingly, they interact with one another. Environmental instability compounds the political instability. Technological reach does not automatically produce human security. Even where states are strong, societies may remain brittle. Even where information is abundant, trust may remain scarce. Even where medicine is advanced, psychological unease, the loneliness, the fear continue to spread. This should really compel a lot of discourses and discussions to arrive at the basic cause of all these crises that engulfing the entire world, despite having a civilizational history in almost all parts of the globe. It should impel a deeper analysis. For the problem before humanity is no longer simply the lack of resources or the lack of technique. It is the inability, I feel, to harmonize this knowledge with ethics, knowledge with social purpose, knowledge with power. And without such harmonization, progress itself becomes unstable, and capability can become a source not only of strength, but also of disorder. Now, therefore, the central question before us is not small. Why is it that the world, which is so rich in information, remains poor in peace? Why is it that a world rich in technology, in science, in humanities, in engineering remains weak in trust? Why is it that a world which is rich in medicines remains vulnerable to a lot of health insecurities? Why is it that a world which is rich in institutions continue to struggle in securing a social harmony and civilizational confidence too? These are the questions that can be answered, but not only through going into economics, strategy, or public policy, or merely commerce, science, and management. They require us to ask what kind of developmental imagination has shaped this modern world. What exactly the modern civilizations they understand by progress? What essentially they mean by science? What essentially they mean by putting commerce in the idea of progress? Putting humanities in the idea of progress? What aspect of that understanding created extraordinary achievements? What aspects produced new fragilities? And more importantly, can humanity continue forward using the same fragmented developmental grammar that has brought it to this point? These questions require civilizational introspection. And that's how essentially we are going to do here. They require us to compare not only systems and states, but underlying assumptions about human nature, the purpose of knowledge, the meaning of freedom, the structure of society, the relation between material advancement and moral life. Friends, if we look at the modern West, we encounter one of the most powerful historical transformations in human history. Western modernity emerged from a complex interplay of Greco-Roman reason, Christian institutions, scientific inquiry, the rise of industrial capitalism, the sovereign territorial state, and later secular frameworks of citizenship and law. Out of this matrix came extraordinary achievements, advances in modern science, powerful legal institutions, industrial productivity, yes, constitutional theories, institutional specializations, yes, and the language of rights, and of course, the technological innovations. These are achievements of profound global significance. We all do agree. They changed the world, often irreversibly so. Yet, alongside this remarkable expansion of capacity that we all see today, there emerged another pattern. Development strategy increasingly came to be defined in terms of only material entity, strategic, productive, and in technological terms. Human success was often measured through control, extraction, mobility, efficiency, growth, and instrumental mastery. As this logic expanded, the ethical and spiritual dimensions of human life were frequently displaced towards the margins. The consequence was not the absence of achievement, but there was this imbalance between material expansion and moral integration, between technical success and civilizational restraint. It is important to state this carefully here. Issue is not that the West lacks ethics, philosophy for that matter, or self-critique. The Western tradition has produced immense moral, cultural, technological, and philosophical, yes, and even the political reflections. Rather, the issue is that the dominant institutions of modernity often give privileged status to that which could be measured, administered, systemized, and scaled. In that process, science advanced, but moral wisdom did not always receive equivalent institutional weight. Technology expanded, but the question of what kind of human being society was producing became less central. Freedom widened, but along with it, loneliness also widened. We got materialist things with us. Consumption, it multiplied manyfold. but without thinking about the ecological restraint that should have been accompanied along with it. Lot of information exploded, but yet their discerning mind, their judgment, where to put restraint, it became all the more fragile. This is not a condemnation of the progress, the material progress that we see in contemporary world today. The progress that has come by studying things in a segmented way, in a sectoral way, in a fragmented way. It's a diagnosis of a historical pattern. As specialization deepened. The modern world became effective at producing experts, engineers, managers, and specialists.
कोई नहीं, मैं फिर मैम के पास आती हूँ जल्दी से। वो है पता नहीं बजट वाले भिजवा रहे हैं मैम से। मैं तो अभी फिर अभी हेल्प लेके मेडिटेशन वाला वो करवा।
Yuvati ma'am, your mic is off.
It's off since the beginning?
नो मैम, आप अनम्यूट करें अपने आप। ऑडिबल मैम,
Am I audible?
ऑडिबल मैम।
Okay. The modern world became highly effective at producing experts, engineers, managers, and specialists. It became less consistent in producing integrated persons, human beings whose intellect, ethics, and self-knowledge, social responsibilities, and the sense of the sacred remained meaningfully related. This absence of integration is one of the deepest crises of our times. And in this seminar, I'm sure all the parallel panels which are there, along with discussing how management, commerce, humanities, they are contributing towards the idea of what development means in Viksit Bharat 2047, they must focus on these essential core issues. If we look at the Middle East, we encounter a very different but equally instructive civilizational experience. The region carries depth, no doubt, as far as its philosophy and culture is concerned. It gave rise to traditions of theology, yes, jurisprudence, philosophy, literature, ethics. Yet in modern history, its societies were repeatedly shaped by empire, artificial boundaries, authoritarian politics, energy geopolitics, sectarian polarizations, and external interventions. The consequence has been a condition where identity remains strong, faith remains present, memory also is alive, but human security, it is unstable. Religion, my dear friends, by itself we all know, do not guarantee peace. Political uncertainties, so-called modernities, were insufficiently integrated with humane development it creates its own tensions. Thus, the lessons are that the faith is not a problem, but that the civilizational inheritance, it must be meaningful translated into the just institutions, dignified social life, and humane political order. If the translation fails, inherited debt does not automatically protect a society from fracture. Power may accumulate, identity may intensify, but truth and peace, they may still erode. Because this is called as the cost that we pay for disjunctions. If we move from Middle East to Asia, it presents more historical possibilities. China, for instance, developed through a civilizational grammar deeply informed by Confucian concerns. And those concerns, they were for the order, hierarchy, moral cultivation, yes, ethical responsibilities of governance. If we take the example of Japan, Japan's historical trajectory also demonstrates that modernization and cultural continuity, they need not always be opposites. A society can industrialize, innovate, reorganize while retaining its strong civilizational sense. If we talk about the Southeast Asia, including Malaysia, which is also one of the collaborating partners here, they reveal even more layered patterns in their civilization learning. They are adaptive, they are plural, and they're historically open to exchange. They have local inheritances also from India, from China, from Middle East, and later European influences also through trade, religion, and other political and cultural contexts. Now, these examples are important because they remind us that civilizations do not simply move from tradition to modernity in a uniform way. They converse, they adapt, they absorb, they reinterpret. No serious philosophy of development can therefore remain one-dimensional. Different civilizational streams, they carry different moral grammars, epistemic assumptions, models of social cohesions, and to ignore their plurality is to misunderstand both the world's past and its possible futures. And that we see is essentially happening in today's world, which is just torn by fragmentation. The common lesson emerging from these civilizational experiences is this. What is the lesson? The lesson is that no civilization is empty of wisdom. We all know. All these civilizations, they have something or the other which they have transmitted. But every civilization that we are seeing here, it's becoming vulnerable. Why? Because it is losing integration. In one place, science is advancing, while ethical restraint is weakening. In another, the faith is being endured, but the social peace is not allowed. In another, state capacity is growing, but the human person is increasingly being instrumentalized. In another, economics, it is rising, but ecology is lagging behind. In another, information technology you have, it is being multiplying, but the self-knowledge, the self-awareness, it is being sidelined, marginalized. And this is where our present crisis must be addressed. So it's a crisis of policy, not mere policy, I would say, or productivity. It's a crisis of fragmentation. We separated knowledge from wisdom. We separated power from restraint. We separated speed from direction. We separated institutions from meaning, from relevance, from their purpose, and education from character. And then now we are surprised. Why our societies are so unstable? Why there is so much of war around? Why there is so much of destabilizing factor? Now, this also clarifies why humanities as a stream, along with science and technology, they are no more optional luxuries. They're very indispensable because humanities, they preserve certain questions without which science and technologies, they might become extremely powerful to the extent that they might become blind also. So humanities, they keep alive questions like why this particular thing has to be done. What is the end? What are the values that have to be compromised? What is the purpose, meanings, and also consequences? Science has information, knowledge. Science asks what is possible. Technology asks how this possibility can be materialized, substantiated. It gives the tools. But humanities ask why these things should be done, and for whom, at what cost, and which limits, and towards what kind of conception of progress, development, or so-called good, being good. So therefore, development becomes a race without a destination if these questions are not addressed, or worse, development becomes a movement towards intensification without integration. Distinguished audience, progress, according to this Western model, is only about the GDP growth, the industrial output, the digital scales, the strategic reach, the infrastructure, consumption. It is the development of the material progress without talk about the ethics or the social trust or the ecological balance or the cultural continuity, and more importantly, human dignity and human integration into it. If development is reduced only to measurable output, only if we talk about in
12 o'clock.
terms of separate subjects like science, commerce, management, then the deepest needs of the civilization, they remain unaddressed. And it is here, my dear friends, that Bharat becomes especially relevant to the contemporary global discourses. In the vision of Viksit Bharat 2047, development is understood as a fuller ordering of collective life, wherein science, technology, economics, education, humanities, they are all brought together into conversations. Bharat is not merely another post-colonial nation state struggling to catch up with the already established models. Bharat need not do that. Bharat is one of the world's oldest continuous civilizational streams. Its continuity does not depend on one god, one book, one empire, one singular historical rupture. It rests on a deeper and a more complex foundation. We all know our civilization speaks about dialogue. It speaks about being dialectic. It speaks about discourses, multiple perspectives. It speaks about debates. It speaks about reinterpretation. It speaks about memory, renewal. Bharat has reportedly generated traditions that can debate one another vigorously, and yet remaining within the larger civilizational field. Now, this ability to sustain plurality without civilizational self-erasure is one of its distinctive strengths. And therefore, the civilization is so organic. Our body systems, they are doing their works on their own in a very beautiful, respective, graceful, rhythmic way. At the same time, they know their limits. All of them are interdependent on each other. Now, it is why Bharat cannot be understood adequately through purely modern categories. It carries an old grammar of knowledge, old grammar of society, what duty is all about, what my rights and responsibilities are all about, what is my concept of selfhood, what is my concept of nation. Now, to speak of Bharat, therefore, is not merely to speak of a territory, piece of land, or just a state. It is to speak of a civilizational consciousness, one that is transmitted from generations to generations, and one which we now see being flowered in this vision of Viksit Bharat 2047. One that is historically sought relation between the material and the moral, the individual along with the cosmic, the social with the spiritual, and also the practical with the philosophical. If we return to early Bharat, especially the Rig Vedic world, we find not simply the ritual forms, but it was an interconnected vision of existence. Even on spiritual planes, we have this holistic philosophy of unity of consciousness, wherein everything in the universe is all interrelated, interdependent. Cosmos, society, polity, everything, they were not sharply separated. The search in those times, which we inherit today, and which we have promised to ourselves that in the purview of the vision, the Viksit Bharat 2047's vision, we will bring it alive. So what was this search? The search was for Rita, which is the principle of cosmic order, of rightness, of balance, santulan, and truth alignment, and not for control, my dear friends, which is so-called the modernist concept. This is profoundly very, very important because it indicates that one of the earliest civilizational intuitions in Bharat was not fragmentation like we see today, but interconnectedness. And these are the words that make the entire difference. We have inherited interconnectedness that's going to just dissolve the paradoxes. The West notion of progress, of knowledge, of existence is a fragmentation. The world was not imagined as a collection of disconnected domains, but as an ordered whole in which different layers of reality participated in meaningful relations. Now, this later unfolded in different streams, like we have Vedic streams, Upanishad streams, epics, we have philosophy, Shastras, then Buddhist, Jainas, we have Bhakti traditions, Tantric traditions, and scientific and social traditions. What remained significant across these transformations was not uniformity, but continuity of concern. And what was the concern? The concern was the purpose of life. How is this life to be ordered rightly? How is knowledge to be made valid? How is this prosperity and so-called progress is to remain connected to duty? And how is power to remain under moral discipline? How is self to be understood in relation to the world? It is at this point that Bharatiya model of knowledge generation is at the core, that how we have treated not just knowledge, which was in the text, but also the outside knowledge. It becomes especially very illuminating thing to discuss. In most of the dominant Western narrative, you would see that knowledge is framed through the tensions between the rationalism and empiricism, between reason and experience, theory and observation. And that's how a standard model is. What about Bharatiya traditions? They certainly recognize all this, but they do not frame their epistemological thought process in this binary manner. Western traditions are very dichotomous. It is either this or this. Instead, we ask, what is Prama? That is a valid cognition. And through what pramanas, or the reliable means of knowledge, does this valid cognition, it arise? This shift in framing is philosophically very, very significant. Now, the question is not whether one chooses reason or experience, or the vice versa. The question is, what constitutes valid knowledge? Under what conditions, for what object, within which domain, and with what degree of certainty? In this sense, Indian epistemology is often subtler than the crude opposition between empiricism and metaphysics. It is attentive to the conditions of cognition, the sources of error, also the judgment structures, and also the relation between the knower, the means of knowing, and the object known. Different Bharatiya schools offer different accounts of valid knowledge, but nearly all took epistemology with extraordinary seriousness. So all these different schools, they did talk about different things in their own way, but their concerns remain very, very fundamental. And that is what essentially that saved us, which the Western civilizations could not save themselves. And it is the duty of all the Bharati people, Indian people, to just revere all this, get it together, and do not let it go off. Like the chief guest of today's conference was also mentioning, that we have very, very important values, like a family values we have, we just cannot let it go off. No matter, we are diversity. We have a lot of diversity in spirituality, in philosophy. But there is a common thing, which is very, very integral to all the aspects that has held us together, despite invasions and so many things happening to our civilizational fabric. Now, you must have heard of Nyaya philosophy, for instance. Especially celebrated. This is because it carefully deals with cognition, inferences, these kind of things, debate and error. It recognizes perception. Now we can appreciate the richness of our philosophical thought. How knowledge for us means. Knowledge doesn't mean just science, these managements, humanities in separate compartments. Viksit Bharat is all about this. It is getting everything together and rolling it out and making this strong connect. So this Nyaya philosophy, it talks about perception, pratyaksha. It talks about anuman, inference. It talks about shabda, testimony. It talks about other valid means of knowledge. Other schools, they spoke about arthapatti. They talked about anupalabdhi, non-perception. So these various concepts and debates that are existing in schools of Indian philosophy, they sharpened these analytical precision. Now, what matters for our purpose is that Bharatiya thought did not regard knowledge as arising merely from raw sensory contact. That is the external context. So knowledge was not just external. It was not just sensory-based. Nor did it grant unlimited license to even speculation. That, okay, you speculate many things, that is fine. Or imagine many things. No, it insisted that cognition, it should be disciplined, it should be classified, it should be examined, it should be validated. Sense perception was important. Could be you get the sense perception through eyes, hands, your sensory organs. But it wasn't all. Inference extended human knowing beyond immediate perception. Testimony, when grounded in reliability and proper context, was not dismissed simply because it was verbal. We valued oral literature. We valued verbal statements. We valued all this. In this way, knowledge was seen as plural in its avenues. A very key word here again, plural. Yet, it had its own standards. So just because we had a lot of oral literature, and that's how we survived also. Despite Nalanda's libraries being burned down, still we could find literature that was given, that was transmitted to us. Only because, our scholars, our students, they were so good with oral learnings and all. And that's a different matter that the West just kind of spoke about this in very condescending way. Maybe they didn't have it that way. So gaining knowledge was through multiple platforms. It was very plural. Now, the West critics might say that this is very, very looseness, epistemic looseness, like they say, Indians, they used to say. They do not really have history. So this is not looseness. This is sophistication rather. That in the Bharatiya people, they do not have just the written text in terms of knowledge. We have oral literature also with us. We have cultural things to teach us. We have spiritual things to teach us. So that speaks of a sophistication, not something which makes us less, in any way less. Now this Nyaya, Vaishishka stream, which is another stream, especially important for understanding the Bharatiya philosophy of science, where Nyaya refined tools of logic, debate, inferential reasoning, and also error. Vaishishika, meanwhile, offered a systematic account of categories of being: substance, quality, motion, universality, particularity, and many more. It actually articulated a very realist metaphysics in which the world is intelligible and structured. And we're talking about, these are our ancient philosophies in which the world is intelligible and structured. Its atomism, though differing from the later modern scientific models, it reflects a very serious attempt to explain physical reality through analysis of its constituent principles. Now, if we take both these philosophies together, it demonstrates that Bharatiya thought was not hostile to any kind of rational classification. We were extremely rational, extremely scientific. We classified things. We spoke about ontology. We spoke about causal explanations. We engaged with the external world. Indeed, all these traditions, they show a concern for, which is common in all the kind of knowledge generation systems that Bharatiya, they have resorted to. No matter it's the external way of gaining a knowledge or some other ways, there is always a strong concern that it should be directed to the right purpose. So whichever reality you have seen, how this reality should be known, how you should comprehend that, how this reality should be structured, how this cognition and knowledge which anybody would get through the sensory or extrasensory knowledge about the physical world or the metaphysical world, how this has to be seen, understood, and if there is an error, very importantly, how that error also should be removed. So that is why it is too simplistic when the West says that Indian thought is merely mystical, it is inward-looking, unscientific. enough damage has already been done by them. It is for us to see the writing on the wall, to take up the cudgels and stand and say that we had everything and we were the Vishwagurus. And there is no stopping us now in our vision to Viksit Bharat 2047 that we become the Vishwaguru again, leading the world. Now, alongside this contemplative depth, it developed powerful habits of analytical reasoning, categorization, and philosophical realism. There is nothing that we didn't have. Everything is there. Yet, Bharatiya knowledge traditions, they did not stop at just realism or logic, like the West did. And West did not have such kind of blessings like we had. We had the Rigvedic civilizations coming down to us. So therefore, when we do not do these things, there is an extreme sense of loss that we kind of figure out, because we need to make use of the civilizational wealth that has come down to us. The West will not have feeling of lack because they didn't have any, but we had. It's time to speak about them. It's time to know exactly what kind of knowledge base was that. What was the engine that gave rise to such a knowledge, so that in this Viksit Bharat, when we talk about these subjects, it should not be in Western terms at all. We should not see science disconnected from management. All these subjects and even more subjects, they have to get together to bring alive the definitions, the living element which is there in the vision of Viksit Bharat 2047. And therefore, it is important to discuss, to go a little deeper with a lot of moral seriousness about all these things. We should know the core, we should know the basic. Then only we can build up the entire palace of the dreams of becoming Vishwaguru, which is like already, we are inching onto it. It's no more a dream now. So all this Bharatiya knowledge traditions, they admitted that there are domains of knowing not reducible to immediate sensory verification, and the human existence cannot be exhausted by external objects knowledge alone. Now, in Advaita Vedanta, for example, the culmination of knowledge is not merely mastery over phenomena, but realization of the non-dual identity of Atma and Brahma, Aham Brahmasi. It's a non-dual. Hence, ignorance is not merely lack of data, but misapprehension of reality also is called as ignorance. Knowledge is liberative in Bharatiya context. Sa vidyaya vimuktaye. Vidya wahi hai jo mukt kare. Knowledge has existential and ontological significances. This does not mean that the empirical reality, it becomes irrelevant. Rather, it means that empirical knowing is very important. But more important is that it should be situated within a larger hierarchy of understanding. And that is what I essentially am trying to bring to the notice of this August gathering here. We need to understand what is this larger hierarchy of understanding and knowledge generation, so that we know exactly how we can place our academic subjects. Just relating science with Viksit Bharat will not do the things. Just relating management and the things that we can do in management can make a Viksit Bharat 2047. Just talking about achievements in humanities will not lead us to Viksit Bharat 2047. We will essentially be repeating how the West has been doing it. And do you think West is something, has already a lot to display in terms of commerce, management, and what, economics and humanities? They already have enough. But what is the condition now? It is fragmented. It is a fragmented soul. Are we also going to do the same thing? If we do not want to, we need to get into the basics at how we have prepared ourselves, how we need to look at these subjects, how we look at the entire concept of knowledge generation only. So that if I study about science, I should know. This is my Bharatiya model of knowing science. If I'm studying about management, I should know this is my Bharatiya model of knowing. I should have studied quarterly Arthashastra. So one may know many things, but still remain ignorant in a very deeper sense. So this Bharatiya epistemology and metaphysics, they keep together two questions that modernity often separates. So what are these? How do we know the world? And what kind of being must the knower become in order to know the world truly? Now, this union of epistemology with the self-transformation is a very distinctive civilizational contribution. We talk about Guru Shishya Parampara. Do you think teachers of today can be put in any way in the form of a guru, and student of today can be put in any form in the form of a Shishya? No, because we still are applying the Western models, because we do not want to dive into what exactly we were. What is that has come down to us in the form of धरोहर? हमें धरोहर के बारे में बात करने के लिए बात करना चाहिए. Then only we'll be able to do justice with conferences like these. If it is just a matter of ticking the right boxes right, then it is a sad state of affairs. It should be about going deeper into the things. If we want to know it from the scratch, if we want to really fulfill the vision of the Viksit Bharat 2047. So this self-transformative element which is so special to Bharatiya knowledge system, to the way our civilization has contributed to us. And it is not just today we are talking. It is something that has been come down to us through our older and ancient civilizations. So therefore, this broader Bharatiya model of knowledge generation, also it explains why the tradition cannot be reduced to either faith or reason. It is not anti-rational because it places enormous emphasis on valid cognition, debate, discrimination method. Nor it is narrowly empirical because it recognizes that some truths are accessed through inferences, discipline, reflections, contemplation, transformative realizations. So these categories of pramana, prama, pramata, prameya, so they are relational epistemology, all are interconnected instead of the Western flat models where the subjects, these subjects, they're isolated subjects, just as a mere facts. So in Bharatiya knowledge system, when we talk about our subjects, when we talk about science, when we talk about management, economics, so all these, they are an event. So knowledge about these becomes an event of relation, of relatedness with each other. And also another important word that we have gathered, which is they are transformative. Because we acknowledge that there is some moral order to the things. One can, and one has to also, and one does exist independently, whether it's a subject or whether it's any kind of philosophy. But at the same time, it is their independence, freedom doesn't exist in vacuum. There's certain order which they need to know. They have to transform themselves because they have to adjust to that order. And that's the only route when we can avoid wars, which, as I said, while we are virtually holding a seminar, the entire world, most of the parts of the world, they are under wars, diseases, and other forms of crisis. So it is answerable not only to the external methods, but also to the quality of the seeker. So this is why in Bharatiya traditions, education was not merely a transfer of information. It was the cultivation of discernment. It was about discipline. It was about attention. It was about humility. It was about the capacity, very important, capacity to receive the truth in proper measure. So if we compare this with the dominant institutions of modernity, an important difference appears. Modern systems often specialize knowledge into disconnected fields, like we just discussed, but Bharatiya system, we do not have absence of distinctions, but we are capable of classification and subtle differentiation, but we do not fragment knowledge into mutually sealed compartments. So we have, like in Bharatiya epistemology, we call it as a drishti bhed. We have discernment. Science is different from management, and both are different from humanities. We do discern that, but they are still interconnected beyond their specialized knowledge. So the pursuit of knowledge retain relation to the larger questions of life. We talk about order, the subjects, they talk about duty, liberation, everything. So this very integrative tendency which is there, and which is one reason why Bharatiya philosophy remains relevant today. So therefore, in us, science is not detached from ethics. Technology is not detached from humanity. Economics is not detached from ecology. Education, not from the inner formation or the character. Societies are efficient. Also, they are spiritually oriented. So Bharatiya thought reminds us that valid knowledge must ultimately contribute to alignment. Alignment of mind, life, society, cosmos, of truth. And if this alignment is not happening, if the knowledge subjects or your pursuit of life or your goals, if it is without adequate thinking of all these things, then it might become a source of distress, as it has been happening with the Western world. So this civilizational reorientation is required. And we already have seen, like in the Rigvedic times, science was part of life. It was part of nature. It was part of the sacred order also. It carefully observed seasons, rivers, wind, light. It was science. The patterns of time, the sun, everything was not just poetically celebrated. They were also scientifically studied. Fire was a ritual. At the same time, we could figure out as a transformative force. That is why the early Bharatiya scientific temper cannot be dismissed as merely symbolic or mythic. It was, the Bharatiya system was empirical in the sense that it arose from the close engagement with the world, and yet reflective in the sense that it sought to relate observed order to larger principles of existence. It joined wonder with pattern, observation with meaning, and utility with reverence. So also our seers and thinkers of Bharat, they were keen observers of everything which was happening, maybe it could be agriculture, health, social order, environmental science. In this sense, was not merely an accumulation of the isolated facts, it was attempt to understand life. See, all the subjects. So there it was empirical approach, but at the same time, there were some quintessential questions at all the subjects they had to address. Because we believe that, that irrespective of what the subjects are, astronomy, medicine, linguistics, they do not survive in a vacuum. They were nourished by, and our ideology that these are not unrelated compartments. So Cosmo was intelligible not because it was inert matter awaiting exploitation, but because it was ordered reality. So, and technology as well, it developed under a very, very moral atmosphere. It was not just about the unlimited domination. So in the making of dwellings, the tools, the agricultural implements, everything, everywhere, it was about also the purpose where technology has to move forward. So we not see many technological excesses. They remained close to the rhythms of community and nature. Even where martial technologies existed, they were still situated within a world not yet governed by industrial abstraction. This is significant for contemporary reflection. A Viksit Bharat doesn't reject technology. Indeed, it must excel in it. But it develops a civilizational grounded approach in which technology remains human-centered, ethically guided, and socially meaningful. The question is not that whether Bharat should be technological. The question is whether technology will become an instrument, of more scale or an expression of integrated or humane capability. Commerce also, it occupied a very important place, So wealth was measured through cattle, grain, mobility. Economic life involved circulation, values, interdependence. Yet prosperity was not isolated from social norms. Exchange was expected to remain connected to trust, reciprocity, hospitality, obligation, and the wider good. In later philosophical language, this would unfold more fully in relation to artha. But at even earlier stages, the moral framing is quite visible. So, this is deeply relevant to contemporary development. The challenge before Bharat is not whether to participate in markets, innovation, entrepreneurship, and global competitiveness. It certainly must. The deeper challenge is whether the economic dynamism can remain tethered to social dignity, ethical responsibility, and long-term civilizational stability. A merely imitative consumerist model would not suffice. A civilizational grounded economic imagination must produce both prosperity and balance, which is what Viksit Bharat is all about. So, my dear friends, now this is where Viksit Bharat 2047 acquires a lot of depth, all these matters, it is basically a civilizational project. It is about decolonizing of the mind, the recovery of continuity, the reintegration of knowledge, and the restoration of confidence in Bharatiya civilizational categories. So in this framework, science and Viksit Bharat must expand capacity, but with responsibility, and also same for management, the humanities, there must be problem-solving ability. So Bharat must lead in emerging fields, invest in knowledge ecosystems, and strengthen the institutions of inquiry. Now, also, it is here that the concept of Ramatva becomes deeply relevant as the inner soul of development. So we remember Maryada Purushottam Ram, which signified the ordered strength, truth-centered conduct, compassion, self-reliant, duty, justice, sacrifice, and public welfare. So let me conclude with this conviction now. The world today has enough information. What it needs is wisdom. It has enough systems. What it needs is human depth. It has enough speed. What it needs is restraint. Bharat, if faithful to its deepest civilizational strengths, can offer precisely such direction, from Rigvedic intuitions to millennia of philosophical reflections. Through all these traditions of philosophical thought, Bharat possesses resources for more integrated future. Viksit Bharat 2047, therefore, is not only a developmental mission, it is a civilizational renewal mission. So once again, a lot of congratulations and best wishes to organizers of this seminar. And thank you so much. Namaskar.
Thank you, ma'am. You have certainly given us a deeply enriching and intellectually stimulating keynote. I'm sure our deliberations during these 2 days will contemplate about the gap between technological advancement and civilizational restraints on subjects like ecological aspirations, scientific advancement, and technical upgradation, and questions like cost, need, and direction of all this, while aspiring to develop the dialectic discourse, memory, and tradition that distinguishes Bharat from the world. Thank you for such an insightful deliberations. Moving on to our plenary session, it is my honor, my privilege to introduce our next distinguished speaker.
Pradeep sir, please unmute yourself.
Thank you very much. Am I audible to everyone? Hello. Good. Afternoon, everyone.
Just a second before we proceed for our plenary session, let me give a brief introduction of our plenary speaker, Professor Dr. Pradeep Kumar, Department of Plant Sciences, School of Life Sciences, Central University of Himachal Pradesh. Professor Pradeep Kumar is an accomplished academician and researcher with over 2 decades of experience in the fields of horticulture and plant sciences. His area of specialization include greenhouse technology, plant propagation, vegetable grafting, and economic botany. He has made significant contributions to both teaching and research with over 22 years of experience guiding undergraduate and postgraduate students, including doctoral scholars. His research work is particularly noteworthy for its practical and innovative orientation. He has been actively engaged in protected cultivation and has developed the innovative plant tomato through grafting, an example of creative application of scientific knowledge. In addition, he has contributed to the development of greenhouse technologies and crop hybrid and has been associated with numerous research projects. Beyond academia, Professor Kumar has played a vital role in extension activities, delivering over 1,000 lectures and contributing through television and radio outreach, bridging the gap between scientific research and community application. He has also held several important administrative positions, including Dean Academics, Dean of the School of Life Sciences, and Head of the Department, reflecting his leadership is in academic institutions. In recognition of his contributions, he has been awarded the State Innovation Award in Agriculture and Horticulture by the Government of Himachal Pradesh. I now invite Dr. Pradeep Kumar to deliver his plenary address.
Thank you very much. First of all, I congratulate the organizers for organizing an international conference on Viksit Bharat through multidisciplinary approach to science, technology, commerce, and humanities. So they have chosen various pathways for discussion, and they have involved one international university of Malaysia for collaboration. So Honorable Chief Guest in absentia, Dr. Ashutosh Kumar Singh, Director IIT Bhopal, who opened today's conference in the morning. Convener, Dr. Dinesh, Principal Madam, Dr. Kavita Gupta ji, and dear participants who are joining this conference through virtual mode as well as physical mode. So before my plenary talk, Madam Vibhuti Gaur has discussed everything in detail, in depth about this Viksit Bharat, concept of Viksit Bharat. You all know that India is at a turning point in the history. We are at a turning point in the history. 21st century will be India's century, as this country is confident of its capabilities. It is the 5th largest economy in the world today and will be the third largest economy by 2027. As its GDP, it crosses 5 trillion. And by 2047, it is poised to be a $30 trillion economy with all the attributes of a developed nation. It will be a Viksit Bharat. So before switching to the topic and before going through the conclusions or before going to any discussion in this topic, let me move to history. Because you know that history is very important, and if we talk about the histories of nations, there comes a turning point. Every nation goes through a turning point, and we are also going through a turning point. When nation grabs the moment and achieves rapid growth, these are the turning points. And if we look at history, then you know that there are 4 or 5 major countries in the world which has shown remarkable achievements. And if we talk about Japan, so you know that during 1950-60, post World War II, what was the condition of the Japan? So Japan was going through a very, very bad phase. But there was a Japanese post-war economic miracle. And today you see that where Japan stands. Next example in our is Germany. You know that economic miracle. Germany economic trajectory changed in 50s, 60s, and 70s. So Germany is another country. And then Singapore, you know that is a small country, developing country. Singapore transformed itself in the 1960s and 70s, becoming one of the world's richest nation in the world, one of Asia's economic powerhouse, which is technologically sophisticated. So you see that there are turning points in every nation, turning point in every life, in the life of any human being, there are certain turning points. So South Korea, another example, you see that miracle on the Han River with world leading companies, how they have developed themselves dramatically. So therefore, India is also at a turning point. We are also on the same boat as I discussed about these 4-5 countries. We are going through Amrit Kal. हम अमृत काल के दौर से गुजर रहे हैं और भारत जो है वो कई मोर्चों पे बदल चुका है और आगे बढ़ने के लिए तैयार है. So therefore there has been a massive expansion in social and economic infrastructure. Today we talk about the infrastructure. You know that there are number of educational institutions, number of IITs, number of AIMS, number of NITs, and number of universities. They have increased tremendously. You know that at present we have 19 AIMS, 23 IITs, and 31 NITs, and more than 1,000 universities. So as Madam Vibhuti Gaur was talking about Vishwa Guru or the world leader, we were global leader in education. That is true. That is true that we were known as Bishop Guru, or we were known as the founder of education in the world. So today, if we talk about our nation, as I told you that we are progressing towards achieving a third economy status. So as organizer was reading out my biodata or CV, they were telling that I'm person from agriculture, horticulture field or biology field. So your conference, that is multidisciplinary pathways through science, how science will help to attain the Viksit Bharat status, or how this science is going to make India Viksit Bharat by 2047, when we're going to complete 100 years of independence. Similarly, technology, commerce, and humanities. So you know that India is a very young country. Average or median age is 29 years. So we are very young nation, very young country. So human resource is very important. So your theme of the conference, that you want to discuss all aspects of multidisciplines for achieving this the status of Viksit Bharat. So we are having improved gross enrollment ratio in our higher educational institutions. That is, has steadily increased to 28.4. Similarly, if I look at some figures, I was searching some data, or I was going through some data, that we are talking that we will be third economy in the world by 2047, or in coming years, we will be a developed nation. But if we look at statistics, then we can say that we are number one in the world in many fields. Many fields. We are number one. Longest railway platform in the world. Mobile phone users in the world. Largest film production in terms of quantity. Largest producer of banana. Largest producer of milk. Largest producer of chickpea. Largest producer of ginger. Largest producer of millets, largest producer of mango, largest producer after China. We are at number 2, rice and wheat. We are globally, we are number 1 in many fields. So there, I think that we are not far away from making this India or this Bharat a nation, Viksit nation or a developed nation by 2047. I think that if we continue the same speed, then we may achieve this target before 2047. Similarly, you know that our healthcare system that has expanded massively on all forms. In 2020, we were having 1,56,000 Ayushman Bharat centers, providing primary healthcare services to communities closer to their homes. So the vast network of nearly 13.97 lakh Anganwadi workers providing early care and education to more than 10 crore children of the country. So various health indicators such as infant mortality rate, IMR, maternal mortality rate, they have not any chance to go down mission in 52 India too is transforming. So if you see the initiatives taken by the government or the Honorable Prime Minister of the country, you know that, as I told you, that we are number one in digital infrastructure, or we are number one in digital payments to the world, in the world. So you see that when we heard discussions about digital payments in parliaments or in or other platforms, people were worried that how it is possible. कैसे possible होगा 144 करोड़ के देश में डिजिटल पेमेंट का सिस्टम? कोई भी crore mobile user हैं, 120 crore mobile user, you can imagine, and 80 crore internet user. 120 crore mobile user, our population is 144 crores, and we have 120 crore mobile users and 80 crores internet user, and we have 30 crore UPI users who uses digital payments with 1000 crore transactions per month. So you see the data, that how big दुनिया के बड़े बड़े देशों तक डिजिटल पेमेंट के बारे में I don't keep purse with me. I keep only mobile phone and make transactions, make payments. सब्जी वाला है, cover in strong job create providers efforts. Our country is making create job at unicorns with a total valuation of $340 billion, and has emerged as the third largest startup ecosystem in the world. With all these points to the take-off movement, we are in now the most important is our demographic dividend. With a population of 144 crore, India is one of the youngest nation, as I told you, that with median age of 29 years, it accounts for nearly 20% of world's total young population. 20% of world's total young population. This is an enormous opportunity, likely to last till 2047. Using this dividend, well, we can propel India into a Viksit Bharat. So you see that strength of this nation, strength of our country, the power, human resource power in the world which we have. No one can match this speed. No one can match our human resource. No one can match our initiatives. So this is the strength with which we are moving, and we are moving in all fields, scientific field. You know that we have demonstrated a quantum jump. Sports, Khelo India, Jan Dhan accounts. You know that we have opened 40 crore bank accounts in a very short span. And you know, everyone, we have passed through a very, very bad phase through Corona period, COVID period. And you know that we have provided Corona vaccine to 200 recipients. 200 recipients without any flaws, without any problem. And this is I think that this is world's largest vaccine drive. 200 करोड़ वैक्सीन्स हमने प्रोवाइड की और 98 कंट्रीज को हमने वैक्सीन दी विदाउट एनी रेम्यूनरेशन, विदाउट एनी पेमेंट, विदाउट एनी मनी. सो ये दर्शाता है कि भारत जो है वो विकसित भारत के बनने के लिए कितनी योग्यता रखता है. चाहे कोई भी फील्ड हो, आपने सारी फील्ड चुनी है. यू हैव सिलेक्टेड ऑल फील्ड्स, यू हैव सिलेक्टेड दिस साइंस, टेक्नोलॉजी, commerce and humanities. So Chandrayaan, the mission Chandrayaan, you all know that how this mission Chandrayaan made possible. Climate goals, we are making various achievements. We are lowering our power capacity. We are improving our power capacity. So digital infrastructure, no match. And then coming to infrastructure expansion, we are expanding our roads, we are expanding our railways, we are expanding our airports. You can imagine that we have increased railway track construction at a very rapid speed, 3 times from 1,452 kilometers per year to 5,243 kilometers per year. That is a big achievement. Now you imagine that national highways network increased by 60% to 1,45,240 kilometers. So there has been 100% growth in airports from 74 to 148. We are moving at a very, very fast speed to achieve all the parameters which are prescribed to be a developed nation, to be a Viksit Bharat. Now today you know that what is our global standing? Our global standing as a world leader, we are being recognized as a world leader. Our presidency of G20, you have all witnessed that we have how capably or how intelligently or how organizational skills have been shown that we have organized this G20 summit to every, and we have made this G20 an event, G20 sessions to every corner of India. We have and in the New Delhi. So these are dramatic improvements have developed because of a comprehensive governance model that focuses on living. Conference which is organized on the topic that is Viksit Bharat 2047 will bring many issues, many core issues for discussions, many new ideas for discussion, and many new innovations or many new suggestions at this platform. As I see that young participants who are research scholars, who are young teachers, who are young innovators, or you can say who are new startup initiators, they will provide a deep insight into the topic, a deep roadmap, a great roadmap to make Bharat, developed Bharat, Viksit Bharat. जैसे अभी विभूति गौर मैडम ने भी विश्व गुरु की बात की, बहुत सारी बातें की, और हमारे जो वैदिक ऋग्वेद और भी बहुत सारी उन्होंने इंसाइट्स, बहुत सारी बातें की. She discussed many things about our Vedic period. So taking inspiration from our history, taking inspiration from our past, we can move. We are moving, and I think we will definitely achieve this target to become a developed nation before 2047. I thank all the organizers a big success, and inviting very good speakers, intelligent speakers, academia, eminent personalities from academia. They have invited to deliver various talks on topics. So as you know that there are 4 pillars, as Honorable Prime Minister in his speech mentioned that there are 4 pillars to make this Bharat, Viksit Bharat. One is youth, another is poor, third is women, and fourth is farmer. So these are 4 pillars who can make India Viksit Bharat if we provide ample opportunities to all these 4 sections of the society. And as I mentioned, various achievements of India, of Bharat, to make this country a great nation. With these words, I stop myself here. And once again, I congratulate the organizers, and I say good wish to, I want to convey my good wishes to participants. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. You are so right. From banana, ginger, and mango to mobile phones and largest producer of films, India is already on the pathway to becoming a Viksit Bharat. And in 2 days of this conference, we would certainly ponder upon new ways and search new innovations to reach Viksit Bharat vision of the Prime Minister and the government 2047 earlier than the designated time. Thank you for your valuable insight, sir. Now, as we come to the close of this inaugural session, I now invite Mr. Rakesh Kumar, the organizing secretary of this SEP conference, to propose a vote of thanks.
Respected speakers, Honorable Principal Madam, respected guest, respected faculty members, and dear participants. On the behalf of organizing committee of this international conference, I, Rakesh Kumar, thanks to all who have contributed the success of this inaugural session. First and foremost, I express my sincere gratitude to our chief guest, Professor Asutosh Kumar Singh, Director IIIT Bhopal, for his inspiring words. His valuable insights have truly set a meaningful tone for the conference. जैसा हमने देखा भी था कि वो इतने बिजी शेड्यूल होने के बावजूद उन्होंने हमें ज्वाइन किया. We are really thankful to him. I am also grateful to our keynote speaker, Dr. Vibhuti Gaur, Professor, Department of English, IGNOU, New Delhi, for delivering such an enlightening keynote address. I also extend my deep appreciation to our plenary speaker, Professor Pradeep Kumarji from the School of Life Science, Central University, Himachal Pradesh, for sharing his expertise and valuable thoughts. Our chief guest and both the speakers has set the stage for next 2 days. I would also like to the member of management committee of KLP College, जिन्होंने इस कॉन्फ्रेंस को डिजिटलाइज बनाने में हमारी बड़ी हेल्प की. हमने शॉर्ट नोटिस पे एक डिमांड रखी उनके सामने कि हमें स्मार्ट पैनल्स चाहिए. सो शॉर्ट नोटिस पर उन्होंने हमें अवेलेबल करवाकर, तो उनका बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद. I would like to express my sincere thanks to our respected principal, Dr. Kavita Gupta ji, for her motivating inaugural address. A special note of gratitude to Dr. Anuradha Deepak ji, the convener of the conference, for her dedicated efforts in organizing this event. I also pay my sincere thanks to Dr. Dinesh Sharma ji, the convener of this conference. My heartfelt thanks goes to the speakers, session chairs, participants, and attendees for their active involvement. I also extend my appreciation to Dr. Richa Sharma ji, the Joint Secretary, for smoothly conducting the proceeding of the inaugural function. Rather, I should pay big thanks to Madam Richa Sharma क्योंकि इनोग्रल में बहुत सारे चेंजेस थे, शेड्यूल के जो था वो अचानक बहुत सारे हमने चेंजेस किए, और मैडम ने बस बड़ा स्मूथली हो जाएगा। थैंक यू मैडम। I would like to acknowledge the student volunteers whose hard work inaugural session and move forward to the parallel technical session. I once again thank you all for your presence and active participation. Thank you.
Thank you for your acknowledgement, sir. Now, as we move forward towards technical session, which would be resuming with after 10 minutes, I would like to tell everybody that today we have 9 parallel sessions planned. When I am telling you about that, I would request everybody to switch on their camera so that we can take a collective picture. Kindly, while listening about the technical session, switch on your cameras. Everybody is requested to go through the instructions that has been dropped in the WhatsApp messages group. All the instructions are there. Still, I am just giving a brief outline that we have 9 technical sessions planned today. All those parallel sessions would have entry. You will know which session is yours by your paper ID, and in case you don't know your paper ID, you can search your paper ID in the schedule at the bottom of the schedule page, which is highlighted in blue. If you click that, you will get a list of paper IDs allocated to all the presenters. Once you get get those IDs from that very schedule, you will be able to determine which technical session is assigned to your paper ID for paper presentation. And the Zoom link to attend that session is in that very schedule at right hand column. So once you click that column, you will reach the Zoom meeting general ID, from where you are supposed to click the break room that has been allotted to your own session. That the break rooms are right now not active. They will be active in just a couple of minutes. The breakout rooms 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to 9 are there. You are supposed to click the breakout room of your own session, and that link will take you to your own sessions. Once again, I extend the break. I would like to tell you that the break rooms are active now. You can join the break rooms, breakout rooms. Once again, I extend my sincere gratitude to all the distinguished guests. They are requested once again to switch on their camera for a moment, please. Once again, I again extend my sincere gratitude to all the distinguished guests, speakers, and participants. With this, we conclude the inaugural session and move forward to the technical sessions. Thank you and have a productive conference ahead.
I request all the participants, please move to your room in breakout room at which your session has been scheduled. The presentation has been scheduled. I request all the participants, please move to your room. We have 9 technical sessions and we assign all the participants different room for their presentation. So I request all the participants, please move to your room.
Dear participants who have not joined the breakout rooms are requested to join the breakout rooms as per the given schedule.